SFSP, Program Integrity and Administrative Review. Program integrity are efforts to improve the stewardship of federal funds by reducing fraud, ensuring accurate eligibility determinations, and reducing improper payments. Sponsor monitoring sites. Monitoring is a program requirement. Monitoring is essential to the success of the program. It is a link between the sponsor and the actual site. Sponsors are required to use the current monitoring form that you can find on the online application. In monitoring sites, sponsors should look at the actual size of the monitoring staff, and that will depend upon the size of the program. All monitors must attend sponsor training. Monitors must understand program and civil rights requirements. Sponsor visits and reviews. Site visits ensure the food service operates smoothly and problems are resolved immediately. Site reviews ensure that site is meeting all program requirements. Remember, the monitor must observe a complete meal service. Sponsor monitoring requirements. Pre-approval site visits are required for any new sites, sites with operational problems in the prior year, sites new to non-congregate meal service, and you all must use the pre-approval site visit form that's shown on this slide. All forms will be located on the online application. Here are the requirements for sponsor monitoring. The first 2-week site visits, new sites, sites with operational problems in the prior year, and any site where the state agency determines a visit is needed must be monitored within the first 2 weeks of operation. For sites that operate for a week or less, the site visit must be conducted during the period of operation. A site visit must also be conducted within the first 4 weeks of operation. Sponsors must conduct a review of the food service at least once in the first 4 weeks of program operations. Sponsors are also required to use the monitor site review form attached. On the sponsor monitoring report, the monitor itself must arrive on time and stay for the entire meal service. Ensure all questions on the report are answered. Observe that the number of meals delivered and served reconciles with the number of children served. The monitor must also ensure all problem areas were correctly noted in the report. Ensure corrective action is noted on reports. And ensure a time frame for completion and follow-up of the noted corrected action is noted in the report. Let's recap sponsor monitoring reports. The report should consist of all visits and reviews. Remember, they must be documented, and all documentation must be kept on file. The report should review any problems that may have been observed during the meal service. If a call is requested to the site supervisor, if necessary, that should also be documented on the monitoring report. Document all corrective action that's taken place at the site, if applicable, during the observation. Remember to schedule a follow-up review if necessary. And most important, sign and date the report. So let's turn our focus to the sponsor administrative review. The purpose and process. The purpose of the reviews are to ensure financial operations are conducted properly, financial statements, reports are correct, expenditures of the program funds comply with federal regulations. Both sponsor and site reviews must be conducted. Administrative review according to the USDA selection process. Sponsors are reviewed every 3 years. Sponsors who are participating in SFSP for the first year of operation must be reviewed. Also, sponsors with 20 or more sites must also be reviewed. 10% of sites must be reviewed. So if you are a sponsor who have multiple sites and intend on closing some of those sites before review, please notify the state agency to ensure that at least 10% of your sites are reviewed, which meets federal regulations. The Alabama State Department of Education Administrative Review Process. Be prepared to be reviewed at any time during program operation. Please be mindful, all SFSP reviews are unannounced. Have all documents available for review. Have an individual who can assist the reviewer in the event the highest ranking official is unavailable on the day of review. Required records for administrative review. A copy of the permanent agreement and any approved waivers. Documentation of training and site monitoring. Inventory records, production records, meal count records and menus. Documentation of all program costs. That includes invoices. Income eligibility forms if the enrolled site is not using area eligibility. Documentation of racial and ethnic data to be completed on the monitoring form, and documentation of the media release. Single audit requirements, formerly known as the A133 audit. Governmental or nonprofit entities that expend $750,000 or more in federal awards during its fiscal year period and receive funding for more than one type of federal program must submit an organization-wide A133 audit, may submit a program-specific audit, should be submitted as part of the application process, and is due to the Alabama State Department of Education within 30 days after issuance of report or no later than 9 months after the end of the fiscal year. The Administrative Review Report will list each site finding. It will also indicate if the findings are seriously deficient. It will indicate the corrective action deadline and identify the responsible person or persons or individuals for completing the corrective action. Administrative Review, Seriously Deficiency Process. Sponsors are declared seriously deficient. They have the opportunity for corrective action. Next will be an approved corrective action. If it is an incomplete corrective action, which could result in the termination of agreement by Alabama State Department of Education. This slide contains a few of the Administrative Review common findings for seriously deficient, but they are not limited to noncompliance with procurement or contract for services, submission of false information to ALSDE, failure to return to the Alabama State Department of Education advance payments which exceeded reimbursement, program violations which include noncompliance with the meal service time restrictions, or failure to maintain adequate records. Administrative Review Common Findings. Failure to adjust meal participation in online application. Simultaneously service of more than one meal to any child. Service of meals that do not meet program requirements. Off-site consumption for congregate sites. Violation of health and safety. Lack of expenditure documentation such as milk. Any other violation of program requirements of USDA 7 CFR 225. Administrative Review Appeal Process. During the appeal of termination or disqualification, sponsors may continue to operate the program and maintain adequate documentation during the appeal process. Program payments will continue. There are two possible outcomes of appeal. The sponsor appeal granted which is retroactive reimbursement for meals and the review is closed, or a sponsor appeal not granted. Reimbursement will not be paid and the review will be closed. So as a recap of the administrative review, the administrative review report indicates the deficiencies in the sponsor or site operation, which requires a corrective action plan to be submitted to Alabama State Department of Education. The corrective action plan gives you who, what, when, and where. Failure to submit a corrective action plan to correct deficiencies could result in termination. And all findings are appealable and appeal rights are presented on the day of the review. And as always, any questions, please feel free to email questions to sfsp@alsde.edu.